Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of HCTalk. As always, I'm your host, Lance Gormley, and our guest on the program today is Greg Bontrager, who is the Newton and North Newton Community Foundation Associate Director. How are you doing today, Greg?
Good. That's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful. Yeah, it's like I gotta get this right, you know. but
it's
no,
all good.
Yeah. Thank you for coming out on the program today.
Yeah.
I appreciate you and what you're doing, and I'm really interested in the foundation and what it does. I know a little bit about it, but I don't know a lot. So I really thought this would be a great opportunity to have you come out. We talked a few months ago about the possibility of it, and I had a lot of interviews that I'd already scheduled. So today is the day. You're in the hot seat. You got to tell me,
all
Greg.
right.
Okay. Okay, so I got to go here. Okay. What we always do on the program first is to try to get just a brief bio of who you are, where you hail from, if you're a lifelong Newtonian, maybe you moved here, you're a transplant. Whatever you'd like to discuss or talk about with the audience, here's your chance, my man.
All right. Well, first off, it's my birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday! The big 4-0, right?
Yeah.
I love
40
it.
forever.
40 forever,
That's
right?
right. So that makes me laugh.
Happy birthday.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Somebody said, yeah, they're doing it for your birthday. No, they had no clue. So,
well,
all right.
Happy birthday again.
Thank you.
I gotta say, you're out here on your birthday. My goodness.
Yeah,
you know?
well, it's been a busy morning. Well, I will say first that my wife, Melody, is a nurse out at the hospital, ICU nurse,
Okay.
as is my daughter, Marissa Murphy. She's married to Nathan, who's at our Interest Bank in Newton.
Okay.
And the two grandkids, James and Charlie. And then I have two other sons, Sean, who is in Wichita, and Seth, who's a musician in Nashville. So that's my family, which is pride and joy.
Yeah.
I'm actually retired choir director. I've worked in the public school system for 33 years and then at Kansas Wesleyan for a year. So my heart and soul, my life has been based around music. And then the foundation job came up, and Nathan and Marissa thought it would be a good fit for me. So I enjoy talking with people. I enjoy trying to bring good things to my community. And so this has become a perfect job for me.
Yeah. Very cool.
Part of my jobs, I was at Gossel, teaching there for 19 years, and then at Bueller, doing the 7 through 12 music. I've done all the musicals, so I've had theater in my life also. So that's kind of my job that I've done. I'm passionate about golfing. Don't necessarily, I can't say I'm great at it, but I love it. But other than that, I've been here in Newton. I live in North Newton, went to Bethel College, and I've just stayed here since the 80s.
Okay.
So that's, yeah.
Well, where did you come from originally?
Well, born out in Scott City, Kansas, but my dad and mom moved us to Harper. He bought into a big dairy down in Harper, Kansas.
Very cool.
So Dad and I farmed until the late 80s, and then that's when I was up here in Newton. So went into teaching rather than farming.
So you came out from God's country. I know you know where Utica is.
Utica.
That's actually where I did my elementary school years.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So for anybody listening, we come from God's country. Just gonna let you know, out there with the plains and no people, more cows than people for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so then you decided Bethel College was going to be for you. Came to Bethel College. Music was your passion.
Yes.
And you wound up, obviously, I'm guessing getting like a bachelor's in some music or something, which then puts you into the vein of teaching. So you're a lifelong educator, right? Married, family, the whole deal, and for the most part, they've stuck around, except for
for Seth.
Yeah, your rock star, right? And then I was gonna say, if he sounds anything like you, I can tell you that he's probably has a very good voice, because I mentioned to you right when we sat down at the beginning of the program, you got a radio voice.
Oh, do I? Okay.
Yeah, well, you have a good voice.
I sing.
Yes. Well, I mean, it makes sense, right? All right, cool. So
Seth is the guitarist, though. I mean, he and a drummer and bass player, whatever.
Very
but
cool.
He really is an artist, a guitarist.
Okay.
And different artists will hire him.
Yeah.
He's with a couple bands right now.
Very cool.
Borderline Natives will be here in Newton June 27. It'll be a free concert at Military Park by the library.
Very cool. So you get a chance to listen to Greg's son play.
That's right.
That's awesome.
It'll be cool.
Yeah. So he obviously somewhere along the way you instilled in him and probably all your kids the love of music.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Melody is actually accompanies for the Newton Children's Choir. She's really the true talent of the family. She's done accompanying there at the high school. She'll be one of the pianists or the pianist for the Mid-Kansas Orchestra on their next concert series. So yeah, she definitely is the talent.
Very cool.
I just sing.
Yeah. Oh well, and I mean, I gotta say, I could see that, right?
Yeah.
You know, you don't want me to sing. I talk.
Okay.
I don't sing.
That's right.
That would be a bad situation. No one would. They would say, "Don't quit your day job," type of thing.
Right.
But okay, so I'm really interested. Lifelong educator in music, right? So what was one of the best things, in your opinion, about being an educator of music?
The idea of building relationships, and that's the reason I think it works well with what I'm doing now. My whole career was spent building relationships with my students. It was funny, one of the older guys who I taught with said, "Greg, you're going to go through different cycles. You're going to be the big brother, then you're going to be the dad, and then you're going to be the grandpa." Yeah. And definitely the last 10, 15 years of teaching, I really became that mentor. And a lot of the kids that come into music and art are the kids that need a place.
Yeah.
They're not the star athletes,
yeah.
Who get lots of attention in football, basketball, volleyball, baseball, whatever. But they sing like angels, And it might be those people that have their hair color and different whatever. But through those relationships and me being a mentor for them, I believe that I was able to help many, many students throughout the years. And that was probably, I'm going to say that was probably more important than actually the performances or anything. It was the process of making music together, being vulnerable together, and trusting each other. Yeah. So just part of that, I think that's just a beautiful process that teachers can bring to their classroom, that element of trust, that element that you can come talk to me about anything. I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to love you and, just talk with you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and you got some, when we're talking about the arts and music and stuff, you get something that I've always felt when it comes to youth and education. You get a lot of creative students. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Like very creative students that use music as a way to express themselves, right?
Well, it's a way that, once again, I use the word vulnerable, but there are some, like if you're an athlete and football is your passion or basketball, you probably come to school because of that. Yeah. I had the students who came to school and even graduated because of music. But maybe even more so than music, it was the fact that they had a family, they had a community, and that was part of that classroom or the choir room. Yeah. And that's what I felt probably most proud of with my students.
Place to plug in.
Yeah.
Place to call home. Yeah.
Give them that community.
Yeah, in a time when they have to have that.
Oh man.
As youth.
Yeah.
It's paramount, right? The peer-to-peer relationships, and then to be able to be included, like you were saying yourself, to be a peer mentor.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
I mean, I don't know if that's the right words I'm looking for, but just the ability for that group of kids, like you said, to know that you're there to help mentorship them and care about them and be an open person for them to come to and talk to stuff. So yeah, very cool.
The other idea that I thought was kind of cool, to create music together, you're bringing in all different personalities. And the first year that I taught at Bueller, I had 2 girls in my group who actually had a court, what do you say, where they can't be 100 yards from each other.
Oh, gosh, no. Oh, no. It's like, you got to stand over there. No.
But I was saying, well, that's impossible. You're a small group. So I sent them out the first day to empty a cooler of ice. And they were going, what do you mean we can't go empty it, bring it back? We're going to, we have to clean up now. And by the end of that week camp that we had, they became really good friends.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I did anything, but I just allowed them to be together, close proximity, but they shared something. They wanted this group to be great. And so these different personalities actually became very good friends. They learned to appreciate each other through the process of music and building relationships. Yeah. So yeah, and that's part of, my big groups. You're bringing 70, 80 people together to create something great. Not everybody is in the same mindset, but they have to be doing the same thing at the same time when you're creating music. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So agree to disagree or whatever, we're coming together for a common purpose.
So, and you said how many years?
33 years
33
with
years.
Public, and then the last year was with Kansas Wesleyan.
Yeah,
It's music education.
And so then you retired from there,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And then from that point, did you have like a period of time where you're like, yes, retirement, I am just done, right? I'm going to go into the retirement zone here. I did my work for 33 years,
Yeah.
How long did that, like, kind of, what was your where were you at in your head or your headspace when you retired? Were you like, man, I'm retired, or were you like, man, I'm retired?
It was more like that.
Okay.
I would go, oh man, I have to do something. I have to keep myself busy. My wife would go crazy.
Yeah.
So she said, find something to do. I'm very blessed that Kansas Wesleyan wanted me to come in and do the music education classes, which I loved. But then this job came up, and it was like a godsend, that I could do similar things that I did in teaching with bringing people together. And I'm able to talk to a bunch of people and be really vested in my community. So that kind of fed my soul. But I wouldn't have been able to be retired as you are retired.
Yeah, where you're just like, I'm done.
No, I was much too young for that.
So retiring is in your scope of where you're at is, I'm done doing this.
Yeah.
But now it's given me the ability to close this chapter of my life to then open up another chapter, and then this position came open. So for people that are listening and they're questioning, okay, so what was that again? That was the Newton and North Newton Community Foundation Associate Director. What in goodness gracious it comes with that title?
Foundation in itself, there cannot be an elevator speech to say what a foundation is. Generally, what a foundations are known for is your once a year competitive grant cycle. So nonprofits will write applications for the grant cycle, usually lasts about a month. But I'm finding that it's a lot more than that. So we just finished our North Newton grant cycle and USD 373 grant cycle in March, and then finished in April just with the Newton grant cycle. But then what do you do with the rest of the year? And what I'm finding that a foundation can and does do is bring people together to create some incredible things for the communities. You still need to find funds to, help create those grants. But I also feel like the foundation now, especially with all of us associate directors that are here because of the Patterson Family Foundation, we're able to find things within our community to be involved with. I've been working with downtown promotions through Chamber. I've been working with Harvey County Resource Network to help with the nonprofits. And with that more, it's just building relationships to find what is actually going on in our towns, to find out what we can do to help. And it might be, for instance, Summer Days that's coming up, June 20 and 21. Greg Hansen came to me and said, hey, would you be willing to bring together the nonprofits for the Saturday family activities? And Alini and Harvey County Healthy Harvey Coalition did such a great job with the open streets, that I just said, well, let's try to bring that into summer days so that we have tons of activities for the families during that festival.
Yeah.
So I don't remember how many they had last year, but we have 23
Really?
activities that are going to go on June 21, 10 to 2, and that's exciting.
Yeah.
Because the whole point, and when it comes down to, okay, what does a foundation do? Well, we're trying to create good for our communities. And that might be help with beautification of downtown, or help with bringing people downtown to our shops, or Cedar Village or mall, just creating an excitement for our towns. And so something like bringing the nonprofits together, it's just a lot of fun to build those relationships. And what can we do? There's five groups that will sell food at the policeman and the fireman kickball tournament on that June 20 evening. So they'll be able to make a little money for their organizations. So it's just that kind of thing that I help try to bring people together. Yeah. Does that bring money into the foundation for granting purposes? I believe that people will see what a foundation can do, and long term it will have people will want to be involved with the foundations.
Well, and you said something that I'm hearing, just to kind of repeat back to you, is in your opinion, one of the main things that you're tasked with doing, or you feel is very important, is networking.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. Collaboration with these different entities. You know, you have all these different entities, like we could probably name a few: Peace Connections, CCRT, Healthy Harvey Coalition. That's got a group of people that are all working in tandem. Safe Hope, these different organizations that are all on their own trying to fill the need of a niche group, and then for you to be able to come in and say, okay, let's collaborate together under the umbrella of this foundation, which oftentimes does mean financial help, or, and then something else, with all of this that's going on, the collaboration and the relationships that are being built, I would have to think that would be a very important part of it, because, well, by building those relationships and people seeing what there is to offer, therefore what you're trying to achieve, makes people more invested in the relationship, and then ultimately financially, hopefully, they come along and collaborate with one another.
Yeah. When people see what the foundation can do by bringing people together, that those funds might come in to help finance some of the different competitive grant cycles we have, or start a fund specifically for an organization. And what's nice about, what's actually incredible about what the foundation can do is, if, say, you're going to invest, you have a charitable heart and you want to donate to a charity, which the foundation is. We are a charity in itself. And CKCF is our umbrella organization. And then you have all of the 19 affiliates under CKCF. But if somebody from Newton or North Newton would want to start a fund, they could do simply 25% or whatever percentage to these nonprofit organizations, and the foundation will take care of that for the life of that particular organization. Okay. And what's nice, if, perish the thought, if one of those organizations would go under or disappear, then it's up to the foundation board of directors to find something that would be similar in the thought process of that organization, and we'd find someplace else where that money could be donated toward. So the foundation can do so many different things. Part of what my involvement is, for instance, if I'm helping with summer days, bring people together, CKCF or North Newton and Newton Community Foundations, we're not hosting that event at all. We're simply bringing people together to be a part of that event. So I don't want people to think, well, that's what we're hosting. Or no, we're not. It's part of our community, so this is what a foundation can do fully vested in anything that's going on in the community to help.
So, okay, would you say that it was more of a supporting role?
Yes.
Before, but and I've seen some things. Of course, not to get too far out of our wheelhouse, but I know there's something going on in Heston. I mean, in Harvey County alone, I think there's like 5 different associate directors,
yes.
correct? And they're tasked with their own individual community. And then, of course, that comes up to all of you working in collaboration with one another for Central Kansas Community Foundation as a whole, right? But it's not necessarily you all generating. It's not. I just want to say, it's not necessarily a leadership role. Hey, this is what we're going to do. We want all you guys to get on board with us so we can get this accomplished. It's more of, what is it that you all want to do, and then how can we support you or aid you? Is that
yes?
Okay.
But the idea, with Christy at Heston or Macy and Halstead, what can we do to create good within our own towns? Whereas before CKCF, that was, they had all the towns. So now that we have associate directors, we can focus on our people.
Yeah. Well, and that comes back to building a relationship, because, if you don't have individuals like yourself that are there tasked with a smaller region or a more specific demographic, then I don't know how you'd manage that.
Yeah, you'd get spread so thin that, it's near impossible.
Yeah.
That's what we're finding is with CKCF has kind of exploded with growth quickly because of, like I said, I'll say it numerous times, it's because of the Patterson Family Foundation, that private family foundation who is just an incredible, generous family. And they're focusing on small rural communities. Okay. Now they're saying 50,000 and under. To us, 50,000's quite large.
Yes.
But it's just incredible. Not only are they, helping with our salaries for 3 years, they're giving match grants to help with the foundations. So like in August, the North Newton Community Foundation has a match grant. And it's up to $100,000 grant match. And then Newton is in September. So we'll be talking a lot about those opportunities for our nonprofits, for people who want to start funds. They'll have some match money that proportionally we'll be giving. You have, like Newton, last year during our competitive grant cycle, our match month.
Okay.
Newton, we helped raise $217,000 for people who were starting funds or for the nonprofits. So we were able to help them, get match money through the Patterson Family Foundation. So in North Newton raised, I think, $82,000 for their community. But the idea is giving these opportunities because of what Patterson Family Foundation is giving to us. Yeah. And we can share that with our communities. The other thing Patterson did this year, they just sent out information, and I've been sharing it like crazy with, oh my goodness, anyone. There's so many different categories within this possible grant that Patterson would give you, anywhere from $25,000 to $1 million to help the smaller communities bring more good into their communities.
Okay, when you use good, not to just so explain when you say good, is there any specific examples maybe that you could give as far as what that definition might look like for, let's say, Newton and North Newton?
Okay, so the one thing we were trying to find a mission statement, and everybody comes up with their missions, and what does that mean? What does the word good mean? And in our community, I think Newton especially has had kind of this defeatist attitude. We're so close to Wichita, everybody's going to... Well, I don't agree with that. Yeah. I think Newton is a great place. I think we have tons of opportunities for our schools, for our community, bringing in new businesses, new people, new industry. Yeah. That's all good. And it's a simple word. Everybody can spell it.
Yeah.
The idea that when we're bringing in good to our community, say for instance, Caring Place, who is trying to build a community for our mental health folks. There in the evening, you have Roe Clubhouse during the day. They're building community for their mental health folks who are struggling.
Yeah.
But because of that group, they have a group of supportive people. That's good.
Yeah.
With Caring Place, one of the first things we helped as the foundation was we received, through some work, we received a donation to purchase a van. So Caring Place could have a van for transporting their clients. So meanwhile, because of that, then we got them collaborating with Peace Connections so that they could help each other. Bringing people together, that's good.
Yeah.
You could say that's great.
Yeah.
I
would agree.
Pick a word.
Yeah.
But I guess I've been using that word a lot, is what can we bring to Newton and North Newton or Heston, whomever, as a foundation. It has to be more than just money. The money will come, the finances will come, because people will see what we're doing and believe that that's a good thing to have for our community. Yeah. It's kind of like what I said with teaching. If it's all about the music and we have to be great, and you're just a drill sergeant,
yeah,
and you're not building relationships, the kids aren't going to care.
Yeah.
But if you have those kids believing in what they're doing, and it's not all about the director, it's about the community creating something, that's why I think that my kids were successful in their performances for our choirs, for our groups, because they were vested in that group, because they were important. Every person was important in that. And that's what I'm talking about with the community. We're creating that good for our community, that confidence, that pride.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you. I believe that Newton is a wonderful place, and I'll use the cliche term, but to live, work, and play. I believe that.
Yeah.
And I also believe that there are so many different organizations and entities that are trying to find places that can be improved upon and then improve upon it. And like you said, the good, I mean, that's really what they're trying to do is to facilitate better conditions, better opportunities, more access to fill in the blank, right? So speaking of the situation that you had gave as far as an example with the agency that needed some transportation, I mean, my mind can really wander with that, because that might include park visits where we didn't have park visits before, a better overall quality of life for their people. It might be a zoo visit. I mean, it's, transportation is key. So I understand that. Can you give some other examples of things that that you all have been on the move with?
So there's some of for instance, the Rayler Foundation, who's working on Themium Park, being involved in helping fundraise for that. They actually started a fund with us, kind of like the All Together Now, All Accessible Playground that's at Slate Creek. I mean, that started with, it started with the kids wanting to be able to play with everyone, with their kids, with their friends. And then those three moms who put this all together. Erin Daniels is on our board as a Newton board person. But I was amazed at how those three ladies could create so much for our community. And with this fund and the Patterson match, they were able to pull off, what was it, $640,000.
That's incredible.
Incredible. So the foundation could be a part of that. Now, you can't say that the foundation did that. That was a community effort.
Okay.
But the foundation could help bring people together for that. And that's the idea.
Yeah.
Themium Park, same thing. What can those guys, those group of, and Andy's on that Rayler Foundation board, what can those guys do to improve our parks? They're trying to promote youth sports, but they're also trying to promote, I'm going to say, pride in what we have within our community, and that particular park by Santa Fe is something that they want to improve upon. So through that, you know, they have the fund, and we can help fundraise for that. Is it the foundation, Newton and North Newton Community Foundation? No, but we're helping bring people together to create that.
Yeah.
You know, other things that the foundation specifically, I think some of the things with Chamber, with Main Street America with Jen Lehman and Zach, with
the Choose Newton umbrella.
Choose Newton umbrella, and Zach, and bringing in businesses downtown to the different places around Newton. They're just doing amazing things. The thing that we did with our Third Thursdays, you know, trying to bring people downtown. Is it a foundation thing? No. But can we help to bring people together to create some really cool things for our downtown? So Third Thursdays now are amped up beyond belief. We have live music down there. We had the wine walk in March. Was it March? Yeah, March. Over 1,000 people were downtown, you know?
Yeah.
So it's that kind of fun that creates something to do for Newton folks instead of always going to Wichita.
And I see that growing. Like, you know, I had mentioned this a couple different times in a couple different podcast arenas that I do. And I mean, congratulations. You know, it's interesting. It starts with an idea. Then people obviously rally around the idea. It's a good idea. So there's some hands that go into needing to help serve in that way.
Yeah.
But then from there, just seeing the response from the community, it's like the wine walk. I told them, you know, when you do that, I think there was like 300 tickets or something they had. It's like, you're going to have to triple that.
Only 100
Oh, yeah, okay,
tickets.
yeah.
So,
I was like, you should have had like 300 tickets. I mean, and if you're talking about bringing in 600 to 1,000 people on a Third Thursday, then that changes the game.
Oh, totally.
When it comes to just what we have going on here and something for everyone.
Yep,
you know?
Exactly. And well, like the downtown businesses are so excited about this because of the foot traffic. But like Prairie, I think last time they had trivia, they had to add tables. People are seeing that there are things to do, and they are coming downtown on that Third Thursday. You know, and that's a total group effort. You know, Jen Lehman has this. I just tapped. She has the connection. I just went blank. Sorry, Jen. Where she gets the businesses together once a month, and they can kind of talk about what they need. She brings in possible education experiences for them. How can they market their business? So she's bringing businesses together, business owners together, and building owners together to create more excitement for these downtown businesses. And we have to be careful because, yes, our downtown is vital. We're historical. We're a great downtown. But we also have Cedar Village, which is full. We have Outlet Mall, which is almost full, which is wonderful. So I keep coming back to it is a group effort. Everybody can get excited about what's going on for Newton. And as a foundation person, I get to be a part of that.
Yeah, you're right there.
Yeah.
You know, you got a front row seat to what's happening.
Exactly.
And then you can say, well, this is where we can help, and this is where we can help. And and of course, it's a very broad brush that you're painting with.
Yeah. And that's what's hard about explaining what a foundation is, because it's, you know, if I worked for a nonprofit and I would just be working to sell that item, that program, whereas a foundation is such a vast community effort. So that's why it's tough when people say, well, what do you do?
Yeah.
Usually I start with, well, I drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah, have a lot of conversations.
I talk to a lot of people.
Followed up by, can we get a cup of coffee sometime?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's kind of what I do.
Yes, it's what I do.
Okay, so changing speed a little bit, I mean, just to get more in depth in this and to understand where maybe your need is, or how what maybe you can improve on, or how people can help you improve in areas that you see. What's something that's like that you would consider a challenge that you're facing? And when I say challenge, I don't mean negative. I mean,
Yeah.
What is something that's been challenging since you've started to endeavor doing this? And then maybe what's the most challenging thing or something in that line?
No, I totally understand. The question itself is, especially as I've gone through my first year. So I'm a year and 3 months now. And that first few months was really a struggle for me to really understand. I have 2 boards that I work with. They're my boss. And they all wanted me to really be vested in the community. Go out and talk to everybody you can.
Yeah.
So as I did that, which I totally enjoyed, so then you have the pull of, okay, what can I do for the foundation? What can I do to get our name out? But then we also have to build funds so that we can continue creating good things for the community. And so that's probably my biggest challenge right now is I believe in what the foundation represents. I believe that the foundation can do incredible things for charitable giving. And we have so many people who are so generous with their money. And the idea of how can I help people see that the foundation would be a good opportunity for investors to start funds with us. Because what we can do that other finance, if my personal investment, it's a little bit different than if I was to give or start a fund with the foundation. Well, first off, that initial investment is actually going to a charity because, like I said before, the foundations are a nonprofit. We are a charity in itself. So that's a tax-deductible donation already.
Yeah, it's beneficial to somebody giving. Right?
Yes.
There's a benefit there.
So there's that benefit. The other thing that we can do, though, is for the life of that fund, we can make sure that that donation goes out to other organizations for the life of those organizations. And it's our responsibility I should say my board's responsibility to make sure we always go for what the fund agreement and the desire of the donor, we always make sure that is top important, that it stays important. If that organization that they wanted to donate the money toward would say go under, I've said that before, then we would find another entity that would have that same vision or mission. So it's our responsibility. Okay. So that's the challenge, is doing community events, being involved with bringing people together, but then how do I do that ask of, hey, would you like to start a fund with us? This is your opportunity to create a legacy, for you and your family. Yeah. So it's kind of that little bit of a challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering, like, through this podcast, just another avenue to bring about awareness to people. I'm kind of seeing in a benefit, right, for individuals who may have questions or may not be fully aware that something like this exists.
Yes.
That then this is just another avenue for them to learn about it and know about it, right? And then and have that question. If they've got that question, that's where you want them to be, because then the next thing is to seek out information, ask questions, and find out what you're doing, which then gives you the ability to show everybody what you're really hoping to achieve. And speaking of hoping to achieve, what do you personally feel, or I guess let me rephrase this question. You personally, what do you hope to see evolve out of this, or what the future of what you're trying to accomplish happens?
Okay. If I was to say what I wanted for the foundations, I would say that we'd be able to grow, we'd be able to grant out more money. The whole point is, we have our competitive grant cycles once a year, but all of those funds that I was talking about, they're actually granting out so much more money, but it's automatic distributions. So just the idea of the foundations giving people an opportunity to put more money into our community to create that good that I keep talking about.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing, is just to build that foundation, the trust, the relationships, so that the foundations can continue giving back to the community. Yeah. And that's in time and in finance.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Utilize it long into the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I mean, if without relationship, without collaboration, without financing, it's hard to get things accomplished.
Oh, yeah.
And what I've heard you talk about throughout this conversation is that those are 3 areas that you're really focusing in on.
Yeah. We don't have a choice. I mean, that's, I still think the relationships are most important. They have to be. There has to be, develop that trust. And then hopefully the finances will come so that then we can put it back into the community. So, and it's not us. I mean, it's that charitable person, that big heart, that generous heart, who is wanting to give back to their community. You know, I can give an example of a person who was in business, and he traveled his entire career all over the world. And when he retired, he decided he was going to be generous to his community. So he started a very large fund so that he can give back to his community that it wasn't able to give time toward. So now his, oh my goodness, the most generous heart to different organizations within our community. But he couldn't give the time, but in retirement, he could give the finances to help.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That
I wish
is.
I'd give the guy a thank you card. Or a gallery. Yeah.
No, I mean,
all these people that are investing in our community in that way, I see the value.
Oh, yeah.
I see the value of the individuals that are working hard in our community to make our community a better place. And that includes you.
Well,
you know that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part, where I don't care who gets the credit. I really don't. I've never been that type of person. I like being in the background. But as long as, I keep using that word, as long as the good things are happening, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Absolutely. All right. You're the man. Okay. So I just got to say that again. You're the man.
Okay.
So we are coming to the end of the program.
Okay.
What I do I always give the guest the last word, speak directly to the hearts and minds of anybody listening. But in part, if you would, before you answer that question, could you give people a way to reach out, search you up, and find out how to get a hold of you, or what they can go and look up for more information?
Yeah. First off, my email, probably the best, is greg@centralkansascf.org. Or you can go on our website, Newton or North Newton Community Foundations. Actually, probably easy to go to CKCF website and find out. They have, once again, 19 affiliates. Just click on Newton or North Newton. That's probably the easiest and quickest. Or go to Norm's. I'm drinking coffee there about every day. No.
Love it. Or just ask, hey, how do I get hold of Greg?
Yeah, that's about right. Ask Ashley or the girls at Norm's.
I love it.
Yeah. So my big mantra for life, more love, less hate. That's it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, Greg.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for coming out on the program and talking with us. I know people will listen to this and they'll get a better understanding of what you're trying to accomplish, and hopefully that helps people want to be a part and understand. That's the key. So thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Okay. Thank you for having me.
Very welcome. I just want to thank everybody for listening to this episode of HCTalk. As always, I was your host, Lance Gormley, and our guest on the program today was Greg Bontrager, who is the Newton and North Newton Central Kansas Community Foundation Associate Director.
All right.
Have a good one, everybody.